Okay, so just a little bit more about sheet layers and viewports, and we'll try and finish off this unit. Right, so this is our page that we have for our sheet layer 1, and we had created a sheet layer 2. And what I would like to talk to you about is that each sheet layer can have its own page size. You're not committed to every sheet being the same size. So as I'm looking at sheet layer 2, I may not need it to be, or I may want people to be able to just print this as an 8.5 by 11. If I go to my page setup right now, we'll see that the page setup for this page is 24 by 36, which is what I had defined. If I do a page setup while I'm in this sheet layer, I will change this sheet layer only. So let's go to our page setup and let's make this just a letter size, 8.5 by 11, so that anybody could print it on their little home printer. We don't need a big expensive printer. But we're going to want to maintain scale, so let's see what happens. Let's say OK, and now we see that the little boundary here, right, is too small for our drawing. So let's select our drawing and let's go over to scale, and let's see if we can find a scale that might shrink it down enough so that it will fit on an 8.5 by 11 but remain in scale. So I've now made it 1/8 inch scale. Let's do an update so that it looks right. And now this is an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. If I go back and I look at sheet layer 1, sheet layer 1 is still my 24 by 36, my arc D. And now sheet layer number 2 is 8.5 by 11 that shows just our little 3D view of our theater. And our 3D view of the theater is in 1/8 inch scale. Right, so now we have to sort of organize all this and keep this in place of what's going on. If I open my dialog box in sheet layers, again I have a sheet layer tab. This is now all of the sheet layers that I have and the order in which they would print or that they lay out. And let's just say we select sheet layer 2 and we're going to say edit. And now I can change that name. I could change that name and let's say 3D theater, right? And I'm going to also give it the page size, 8 by 11, right? So that I can remember how big it is. And I'll say OK. And now I can select this sheet layer 1 and say edit, right? It's still going to remain sheet layer 1, but I'm going to retitle it. And I'm going to go ahead and call it plot and exploded. I'll also maybe give it its page size, and I'll say it's 24 by 36 and say OK, right? So now I just have this little page tag that's out here. And again, this is just a tab within our organization. Design layers are here, our classes are here, our sheet layers are here, and the viewports are here. And it shows all of the viewports that I have used, right, and where they are used. And these ones at the bottom, viewport 30, for me, for you it's probably 1 through 4, right? And it shows what sheet layers they're on, what scale they are in, and what view they are in. Right? You may not need the viewport tab as much, but you will definitely need the sheet layer tab. And let's say OK. And we're back to where we are. And now that's labeled. And I will bet that when I do my pull down, it now shows me those names next to the sheet number. Yeah? And so I think that finishes up viewports. There's a lot more. They're a very powerful tool. As you explore them more and as we work with them more, you'll start to understand their power and their versatility. But that's what we have now for sheet layers and viewports. Thanks so much.